Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, Cyril Joe Quinn, episode 1009, Circle City. As always, you can like, share this podcast where all podcasts are available. Any support, all your support is greatly appreciated. A quiet night from the NBA standpoint, kind of like the calm before the storm. We have a game three tomorrow night as the scene shifts to Indianapolis, where the Pacers will try to take advantage of splitting the first two games in OKC. Of course, they got that they just stole game one with the Haliburton shot and actually got destroyed in game two. Similar to what happened with Denver in the conference semifinals with Oklahoma City. And look at the series right now. Through the first two games, I mean, Oklahoma City has been the better team. They've led. When you look at, they've led about 91 minutes out of a possible 96 minutes. They've led about 91 and a half minutes out of a possible 96 minutes. They have had they of course have had at least a 15-point lead in both games. They've had a 15-point lead in game one. And then, of course, they had that lead extended in game two to well over 20 points. And this series has been absolutely dominated by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who in game two was, I text, send it to my text thread. He was absolutely surgical in that game. One of his better playoff games, if not his best playoff game this year. And that's saying a lot. He's had 12 games where he scored over 30 or more points. He eclipsed that magical 3,000 point number, 3,000 point number between regular season and postseason. A very select few. We're talking like all-time greats have achieved that number, like the Wilt Chamberlains of the world, Michael Jordan's, Kobe Bryant did it once, Luka did it once. It is again a select crew of some of the greatest players of all time that have reached that number 3,000 in the same season. Um, and he was absolutely the story of game two, just completely dissecting Indiana's defense, seemed to know where the traps and what they were going to do before they even did it. Again, I thought it was his best playoff game this season. I think it was his best playoff game of his career. To be perfectly honest with you, considering the circumstances. In Oklahoma City, listen, Oklahoma City they are the better team. I understand we saw that game one. I understand why people think that this could be a series. I picked Oklahoma City in five. Now, I'm going to admit I'm not confident about that pick right now. As far as right now, after two games, I think. I, Listen, I'll be surprised if Indiana doesn't win one of these next two games. I really would be. Like, they have been a great home team. We know how well they've played at home. We know that crowd is going to be, raucous. I mean, their first finals game in 25 years. And by more importantly, we know that Oklahoma City has been, kind of shaky, a little bit, kind of Jekyll and Hyde on the road. They've had some excellent performances on the road, but they've also had some performances that have scratching some head scratchers, like the game three against Minnesota, losing by 42 points. So if they can lose by 42 points to Minnesota, they definitely can lose a close game to Indiana. Again, most of the talk focused in the last couple of days in regards to this series. Most of the talk focused on the play of Tyrese Haliburton. Look at Haliburton in this series. Um, he's only averaging about 15. So look at this series. I look at the Patriots stats. Halliburton's at about 15 points a game in this series. He's gotten off to relatively slow starts. He's had big fourth quarters. Last game in the fourth quarter, it didn't matter, didn't make any difference as the game was decided. So Haliburton against OKC. Yeah, about 15 and a half points. 15 and a half points, 6.5 rebounds and 6 assists. But also has about four turnovers a game. Shot 50%, 32% from the 3-point line. So those are okay numbers. Um, Now beyond the numbers, I think he's getting questioned for not being aggressive enough early on in the game. Um, I just want to say, I think so. Yeah, 15 and a half points, 6.5 rebounds, 6 assists in the game. Halliburton is a player who I think when you look at him, you don't gauge him by his numbers per se. Um, he's not a 25 to 30 point per game scorer. He's not a volume shooter. He is a guy who the most important aspect of his game. There are two things he does extremely well, does great, pushes the pace, and he is a savant as far as a playmaker. He is a level passer. And he does not turn for the most part, he does not turn over the basketball. So pushes the pace, A+ passer, playmaker and passer, as far as playing the game the right way, and protects the basketball. He's not going to sit up here and, you're not going to see Haliburton score 40 points or 35 points. I know he's had a couple 30-point games in these playoffs, had a couple against the Knicks. But for the most part, when he's at his best, he is pushing the pace and distributing the basketball. Pure and simple. I mean, you look at his numbers throughout the course of the season. I'm gonna go through the months. 14.6, 18.5. These are his scoring averages. 17.8, 20.3, 18.8, 19.8, and 18.6. The highest point per game average he had over the course of the season was 20.3. 20.3. The assist numbers 6.6. He got off to a slow start this year. 6.6, 9.3, 8.6, 8.6, 9.2, 11.2, and 10.2. Again, this guy and again, he got off to a slow start this year. Got off to a slow start over the course of the season. You look at his, again, pre-All-Star break versus post-All-Star break. After the All-Star break, he was 20 and 11 on basically he was 20 and 11 after the All-Star break on 53% shooting, 43% from the 3-point line. So he was one of the one of the best guards, one of the best guards in the league after the All-Star break, which propelled him to earning third team All NBA. My point, I say that to say, I bring all this up to say, you don't look at him by his scoring numbers. Indiana has plenty of guys that can score the basketball. If Indiana is going to win this series, it's going to be because Haliburton is out there pushing the pace and creating plays for other people. It's not going to be him scoring 30 points. Because here's what will happen, right? Haliburton scores 30 points and has about 7 assists. They lose. And then, same people will be saying, well, he's really not a 30-point. That's really too many points. He should actually be distributing. That's what'll happen. If he's in that 15 to 20 point range, the assist totals in that 8 to 12 assist range. That's where he needs to be. 15 to 20 points, between 8 to 12 assists. So I don't, like I said, in terms of him playing the right way. Sorry, I think that he's been given. I think that he is taking what the defense gives him. Like I don't really have a problem with his approach to the game. Like, do you really want him out there jacking shots and forcing stuff? Again, he's got 8 turnovers without forcing things. This is not a defense that you can force the action on. It's just not. Like what you're finding too is, look at the pattern here. We heard the same stuff. We heard the same shit about Anthony Edwards in the previous series. Are we getting a trend here where this defense that they're facing is a flex defense? You cannot go play hero ball against this Oklahoma City defense. It just doesn't work. You could be the most cerebral, like Joker is one of the most cerebral players in the world. He's a savant. This guy is one of the great passing big men of, arguably probably the greatest passing big men of all time. He was confused by this defense at times, and they made him look pedestrian at times. As great as he was, he had two masterful games. Game one and game six, was it game four or game three? Game five. It was five because they lost the second 40-20 that he had in that series. Game one and game five, where he was iconic in those games. But they made Joker look at a lot of most for the majority of that series, they made him look average. Like they made Joker look bad at times in that series with the turnovers. They sped up his offense. They again and Joker. Listen, Haliburton is not as good a player as he's not on Joker's level. He's not as talented as Anthony Edwards. And if they can if that defense can make those guys come down a notch from what they normally look like, you shouldn't be surprised by what they're doing to Tyrese Haliburton. I'll be honest with you. This is a case where this is a case where I have to give the defense credit here. We're always looking at the aspect of what can the player be doing better. No, for Oklahoma City and how they defend, let's look at what they're doing defensively to him. And again, you cannot force anything. You have to have what a lot of football coaches call, you have to have controlled aggression against Oklahoma City. You cannot play hero ball. You will turn over the ball left and right. You have a zillion turnovers. They are dead. It's kind of like throwing gasoline on a fire if you try to be overly aggressive, 4 shots up. I actually feel like the way Indiana plays offensively, kind of like with the ball movement, pushing the pace, it plays somewhat in Oklahoma City's hands, but it also can hurt Oklahoma City because listen, if you're Indiana, you are getting great shots. They're getting a number of if you're looking at your shot, if you're looking at the shot charts, the amount of shots, the quality of shots, you are getting high quality shots if you're Oklahoma City. Excuse me, if you're Indiana. So you have to be happy with the shots that you're getting. They're like, I'm looking at the Indiana in this series. Indiana in this series, I'm looking at their 3-point shooting, right? Indiana in this series is shooting, um, they've shot 32 corner threes. They've hit 17 of 32 from corner threes. They're shooting well over 50% from the corner three, shooting 60% from the left corner, 47% from the right corner. So that's a win. That's absolutely a win. Like they're getting great. Those are the shots that they have to make and have to hit. So they're shooting well over like so. Again, you have to be happy if you're Indiana with the quality of shots that you're getting. And again, those are the 3 point shots that Indiana has to hit for this series. Indiana shooting as I look at their team, 40% from the 3 point line for this series. 40%. They're shooting 40%. That's great. I mean, that's spectacular. Like 40% from the 3 point line. So they're getting high quality shots. And the number one reason why they're getting those high quality shots is because of the attention that um, Tyrese Haliburton gets. So I don't now. Does he have to be better? Sure, sure. I mean, sure, he has to be better. He has to perform better, but I'm not. I like one of the reasons why there's a reason why Oklahoma City was a clear cut, overwhelming favorite. Like they're clearly a better team, like from top to bottom. And I respect Indiana. Indiana has a lot of depth, but Oklahoma City they have better depth coming off the bench. And again, the only way for me, only way that they could win this series, two things had to happen. Tyrese Haliburton had to be the best player on the floor, and they had to make a bunch of threes. So far, they've made a bunch of threes, but I can't see any way that Tyrese Haliburton will be the best player in this series. I just think at the level SGA is playing right now, that's just not going to happen. And that's not Halliburton's fault. He's not he SGA is at worst the second best player in the world and will be on the heels if this series goes the way I expect it to go. Will be on the heels of Nikolai Djokovic next year. He will be on Joker's heels next year, challenging that throne for best player in the world. Djokovic. Yeah, gotta get the man this guy's name right. The Joker. That's leave it at the Joker. He's right on. He'd be right on his heels. I don't think it's I don't think is I don't think it's possible for Halliburton to be the best player in this series. Like this is going to go down. SGA is going to have one of the best guard postseasons that we've seen going back to since Michael Jordan. That's how dominant he's been this postseason. I think looking forward to game 3. Um, I think Carlisle's got to shorten the bench by probably a man. Um, I don't think you can just. This is not a series that you're gonna. First of all, this is not a series that you're going to out. You're not going to wear down Oklahoma City. So I don't see So some of those, Halliburton. Look at the minutes that Halliburton's playing in this series. Uh, right now he's at Halliburton's numbers in this series. Not his numbers, but his what he's playing. He's about 30. He's about 37 minutes a game in this series. That's going to have to go up. Like that's absolutely going to have to go up. This minutes going to have to go up, and you can't like though. This is the finals. Like you know you he's been those guys should be fresh based off how many minutes based off how deep the team is. Halliburton's minutes going to have to go up. Uh, right now, Yeah, Shea Gillis, SGA is playing 38 minutes. Halliburton is playing 36 minutes. Those minutes have to go up. Like there's no reason why Halliburton can't play 40 minutes. Like I can't like or 30, those minutes have to go up by 3 or 4 minutes. I see no reason. Siakam's only playing 32 minutes. Um, maybe because of that, because the last game was such a blowout. But those minutes are gonna have to go up. Like they have Indiana has see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 10 guys playing double digits in minutes, and they have 8 guys playing 19 or more minutes. You got to cut. Listen, you're going to tight. They're going to Carlisle. And Carlisle is a very adaptive and not afraid to make an adjustment. I mean, you have to tighten up some of those minutes to not so much where you're not playing those guys, but Halliburton, Siakam, those guys' minutes are going to go up. Nemhart, I mean, those guys like your stars, Neesmith, those guys' minutes are going to go up. Your starters minutes are going to go. Those guys, they just got to go up. So if I got to play T.J. McConnell 2 or 3 less minutes, if I got to play Toppin 2 or 3 less minutes, Mathurin 2 or 3 less minutes, then so be it. Like you're not like you can't you're not your depth is not a factor. Your depth is not an advantage in this series. This is not. It's one of those series where you have to use your starters against their depth. Like you have to almost reverse it against them. You have to use your starters, up your stars, and have some of your stars going against their bench players. You're not going to beat them with your overall depth. Not wearing them down. That's just not going to happen to Oklahoma City. Not going to do that. Oklahoma City. They have too much. They are too deep and too talented in their own right. So again, there's still some adjustments to be made in this series. There's still some things that will be unlocked that you haven't seen yet. Uh, you still haven't had the explosive. Look at Oklahoma City. Look at some things that they could do. You still haven't had a great Jalen Williams game. Like Jalen Williams in this series has been okay. He's bad in game one. Game two is better, but right now he's what 18 on 33% shooting. He's due for a big game. Now, Chet Holmgren is only averaging 10 points in this game. Play better in game two. It was inexcusable for him only play 23 minutes in game one. That made zero sense. Haven't had the explosive Chet game. So those two, Williams and Holmgren, have been okay in this series. Those two guys can definitely pick it up. They are more than capable. Jalen Williams could get you a 30-point game. Chet Holmgren can get you a 20 or 25-point game. Like that can happen. So we have not seen anywhere close the best of those two particular players. Again, Indiana during regular season, SGA killed Indiana. I don't see like he averaged like 39 on 55% shooting. They just don't have they can't they if you're Indiana, you just want to make SGA a volume scorer. Like you want to have a game one type of situation where he needs 30 shots to score 38 points. That was not the case. Of course, in game two, he was absolutely efficient. Um, didn't need 21 shots, and scored 34 points on like 21 shots. So that you want to turn him into a volume scorer, and it's hard because he does not take bad shots. He does not take bad shots. So realistically, to win this series, I think Indiana will have to win both games in this series. SGA scored 34 points on 21 shots and went to 11 for 12 on the free throw line. Indiana is going to have to, I think, win both of these games at home to realistically have a chance to win this series. To be honest with you, even a split, I still feel like Oklahoma City would be in control of this total control of this series, even with a split. I think Indiana has to win both these games. I don't think they will. I do think that they will get a split, and I think we'll back to Indiana 2-2. I think Indiana realistically to win the series to win the series has to win is going to have to win game three. I don't see, they that would be like death for them, basketball death for them if they drop game three. I think that would be coming off what happened in game two. You drop game three in a series, that's almost then at that point, I think that Oklahoma City will have a lot of momentum going to game four, and they almost will go for the kill shot in game four, to be perfectly honest with you. Like falling behind 2 games to 1 to Oklahoma City after losing the first game. I just think that game three is much more important for Indiana than it is OKC. One note about game two. So game one with the ratings, you had a 5 year low for game one. It was the lowest since going back to the bubble. Game one in the bubble. This game two was the highest since game two of 20, was the most watched game two in 5 years, up 10% from game one. So even though it was a blowout and Oklahoma City was in control for the better part of the game, Sunday night, earlier start time, 8 o'clock, certainly has something to do with it. I don't know why they don't start on 8 o'clock during the weekdays, but that's a whole nother story. To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, it took the NBA forever to get those. I mean, remember there was a time when the finals wouldn't start till 9 on weekdays, so it took the NBA forever to push back just 30 minutes. I really think they should do 8 o'clock um, regards of East Coast, West Coast, especially these two teams being Midwestern teams. Like these two teams, if you start at 8 o'clock, that's a 7 o'clock start. Like, okay, most people are home at by 7 o'clock. Um, but the good news with the NBA, again, we'll see. I think game three will certainly determine how the ratings will look moving ahead in this particular series. I didn't have high expectations for the ratings because these two teams are relatively are unknown as far as from terms of market size. The NBA is going to take a while for people to transition through from the LeBron, Curry, Durant era into accepting the fact that it is that the SGAs of the world, the Anthony Edwards of the world, that it is their era right now. It is going to be their era. It is their era. Jokers, Giannis. So that's going to be a rough, could be a difficult transition for the NBA. Plus, the NBA needs to do a better job at marketing those their younger talent. But I think you have to be excited if you're in the NBA with that second number in terms of your rating in game two. We're going to do the deep dive. Aaron Rodgers is officially a Pittsburgh Steeler. He, in a sense, held the Steelers hostage. Well, you know what? They held themselves hostage because they easily could have moved on and it just went to another direction. He told them he would, he would understand if they did move on. But the bottom line is that the Steelers, they would have waited until July. They would have waited. They would have waited until August for Aaron Rodgers. He was going to be their quarterback. If he played football, it was going to be for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Um, Listen, I this was once, the Steelers used to be the gold standard of football. There was a time where they were the gold standard of football, where they were at worst behind the Patriots, the second best franchise as far as stability. You know, as far as you didn't hear like toxic shit coming out the locker room for the most part. You didn't hear, they would let go a player. Steelers would develop wide receivers as well as anybody, offensive linemen. We know about the coaching stability. So the Steelers were one of the model franchises in the NFL. That is no longer the case. Um, this is a franchise that has won 6 Super Bowls. Okay, it's won 6 Super Bowls, and here's what I'll say about, and we understand how hard it is to find a quality quarterback in the NFL. But here's what I'll say. Here's the question that you needed to ask that you should have been asking if you were a Pittsburgh Steeler, if you work for the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you're general manager, ownership. If we sign Aaron, what does Aaron Rodgers, what is the ceiling for Aaron Rodgers led football team? Are we at Aaron Rodgers away from a Super Bowl? Are we at Aaron Rodgers away from a conference championship? Like what Aaron Rodgers are we getting? Aaron Rodgers has not had a big year in the NFL since 2021, his last MVP year. If you look at Aaron Rodgers from 2022 up until last season, he has been mediocre at best. 2022, the last season in Green Bay, he was horrible. He was bad in that season. They were 8-9, didn't make the playoffs. 23, we know what happened with the injury on like the first series of Monday Night Football. Doesn't play, didn't play for the rest of the season, of course. And then last year, despite the numbers, and no, please, you had to actually watch the games. He was horrible last season. It's horrible. Like he was bad, and to the point where it was determined that the headache was no the production. The headache outweighed the production. This version of Aaron Rodgers, you're getting a dude who makes more noise off the field with it than he does by far than he does on the field. He does not raise the level of other players at this point in his career. There was a time in his career where he absolutely would raise the level. He would make average receivers good receivers great. There was no question about it. You had Aaron Rodgers on your team, you were winning 10 to 12 games or 11 to 13 games, and you were going to the playoffs, and you were probably going to win at least one playoff game, if not get to a conference championship. Those days are long gone. He was closer to where Peyton Manning was when Peyton Manning was a Denver Bronco. Those Bronco the latter years of Peyton Manning as a Denver Bronco, that 2015 team when they won the Super Bowl. This Pittsburgh team doesn't have a one of the best defenses a decade, one of the best defenses of the decade, like that Denver defense was in 2015. They don't have that. They don't have that culture. Like Aaron Rodgers is not going to, again, at best, and if I'm glass half full, Aaron Rodgers, you might make the playoffs. You may make the playoffs. You're not winning the division. Forget about that. You might make the playoffs. You might squeeze into the playoffs and probably get blasted in the first round if everything goes right. If everything goes right. That's how loaded the AFC is. And I'm telling you, y'all dumb. I can hear y'all dumbasses already talking about Kansas City taking a step back. You can you can think Kansas City is taking a step back if you want to. I've been hearing a lot of that dumb shit. That's okay. But at best, you are a first round and out team. You're a wild card weekend team. Maybe you get a home game. More likely, you're going to be on the road. Worst case, he torpedoes your season and you spend more time talking about Aaron Rodgers with these lousy Pat McAfee interviews than anything that he does on the field. And you just wasted a year where you could have been, even if you get a stopgap quarterback and go in the draft in 2026, fine. This, like I'm saying, there's no tanking. You're not tanking. You get a stopgap quarterback. A guy that won't be a complete shit show, and go about your business. Like get a 1 year stopgap quarterback, and then go in the draft in 2026, which is supposed to be a decent quarterback draft. You don't have to tank. I mean, nobody's telling. We know Pittsburgh doesn't it doesn't do tanking. I understand that. But again, I don't know what you expect out of Aaron Rodgers, out of this version of Aaron Rodgers. And again, if Aaron Rodgers without all the bullshit would be a perfect stopgap quarterback. Right. But there, and with Aaron Rodgers, you come in with a lot of bullshit. This guy is not a leader. He's not a lead as a quarterback. He is not a leader. I don't think he ever was a leader. To be honest with you, I think that he was just that talented to where his skill and his greatness superseded his lack of leadership. He just got on. He was just got on. He just would get on the field, be one of the best throwers of the football that you'll ever see, and win a lot of games, win MVPs, and it kind of masked all the bullshit that came with Aaron Rodgers. He's always been a diva. He just did not become a diva 3 or 4 years ago. He's always been a diva. But again, when you're performing at an MVP level, when you've won 4 MVPs, when you are one of the generation's best quarterbacks, which he was, and and probably one of the top 10 quarterbacks of all time, which he is, then all that shit goes, all the bullshit that that's been coming out in the last couple of years kind of gets thrown under the carpet because of your level of play. But he's no longer that guy so anymore. He's mediocre. So now all the bullshit rises to the surface. And again, he ain't worth it. He is not worth it at all. In the least bit, he's not worth it. It's just not. Pittsburgh is too good of a franchise. Should be too proud of a franchise to go down this road. This is some shit that toxic franchises do. This is some shit that franchises that have never won nothing, that don't have a clue what they're doing. They take these desperation moves. This is not the Pittsburgh Steeler way. This is not what Pittsburgh Steeler football is all about or should be about. So we'll see what happens. Again, I don't think that I don't I know that this is not going to turn out well. It's not. I don't think. I know that this ain't this will not turn out well. If you're a Steelers fan, but still, the 21st century. We return back to the film. 2002, 25th Hour comes out. Was directed, of course, by Spike Lee, starred Edward Norton, Barry Pepper, Rosario Dawson, Philip Seymour Hoffman, Anna Paquin, Brian Cox. Just an absolute all-star cast at different parts of their respective careers. This came out in 2002. This was the first post 9/11 film. Toby Maguire, a producer on this film, wanted to play the lead role that was played by Edward Norton. Um, and frankly, I think that this is probably Spike Lee's second best movie at worst. Spike Lee's second best movie, and probably in conversation for his best movie. I still think Do the Right Thing is number one, but this movie is absolutely right there. Just you have a guy, so many complex characters in this movie. It deals with a guy who, you know, was a drug dealer. He gets busted, of course, gets busted and has 24 hours until he goes to prison, and just a bunch of question marks for him before he goes to prison. Like who rat him out? Like questions about his life, his love life, his relationship with Natural Rivera, who was played by Rosario Dawson, his relationship with his father, his relationship with his friends, his choices that he's made that's led up to this point. And he really was this was Edward Norton in the midst of one of the one of the great runs of any actor during that particular time. From '96 to 2003, he absolutely was in a conversation as one of the top actors in Hollywood. He goes in '96. Look at his IMDb. So in '96, you have he has Primal Fear. Um, Look at his IMDb here. Yeah, so here's his filmography. Here's his IMDb. '96, Primal Fear, People versus Larry Flint. Everyone Says I Love You, Rounders, American History X, Fight Club, The Score. He did have Death to Smoochie. That I got. Um, Red Dragon, 25th Hour, and then The Italian Job. And after that, things kind of got, you know, hit a stretch where now I heard The Illusionist was very good. Didn't get the kind of credit that, it's very, very underrated. The Painted Veil. And since then, he kind of has been, you know, uh, it hasn't been the same. Like he had, like that was his stretch. Like I'm looking at his, and I'm looking at his stuff since he's done a lot of producing and some writing, but that stretch from '96, I mean, he comes out the gate, Primal Fear, People versus Larry Flint, like right out the gate. And like I said, he was in conversation from '96, especially from I would say from '96 to 2002. Maybe not so much 2003 because he started after that 2002 he cooled off. But from '96, I mean '96 to 2002, like he's cooking. Like he's absolutely cooking. And I don't quite understand how much has his fall off. To be honest with you, he's still relatively a young. I mean, he's still young. He's only like 50. Edward Norton right now is what, 50, 55. It's still relatively young. So he comes out. This comes out 23 years ago. 33 years old at the time. 33 years old at the time. And again, he this film really it really was kind of, I thought, a love letter to New York. I really thought this I mean, this played off. This was a New York absolutely was a character in this film. I thought again, as far as cinematography, as far as even with the music, I thought like I said, Spike Lee. Like you say what you want about Spike Lee. Spike Lee knows how to shoot movies in New York. Like there's not a better there's never been a better director in shooting movies in New York, and he captures everything. I mean, of course, he's from New York, but you can't think I can't think of a better director who knows how to shoot New York. That like this in every one of his films that's been shot there, he uses New York as a character, and New York is a character in every one of his films that's shot in New York, and this absolutely was no different. Um, and you're looking at this movie. This movie has you questioning a lot of things about, again, about friendships and, like what would you do? What would you do if you only had 24 hours before you had to go to jail? And how would you spend those 24 hours? Because if you when you go and he was scheduled to do a 7 year bit. Um, you schedule going at 31, it was going to come out at 38. But people, you heard stories from people that went to jail. They're never the same. Like that person goes to jail, come out. I don't care if it's just a 1 year bit, let alone 7 to 10 years. But that person is never the same. And in this movie, he almost flips out, of course, on the character played by Tony Saragusa, who had him thinking that wanted him to believe that it was his girl that tipped him off, when it turned out it was Tony Saragusa's character that tipped him off, that got the cops, that got him pinched. And again, there was so much. I think this movie again captures the essence of New York, but also, this, you look at this cast. We're talking. I mean, Rosario Dawson. You're talking Rosario Dawson, C. Philip Seymour Hoffman, Anna Paquin. I mean, those are like Seymour Hoffman, Anna Paquin are Oscar winners. Um, Barry Pepper is interesting to me because Barry Pepper had a stretch. He's in Private Ryan. Uh, he makes this, and then that kind of was it. Like Barry Pepper, he was in Knock Around Guys, and that was big. I mean, that was it. I thought Barry Pepper was brilliant in this movie. I really thought, and I really thought at the time, like, this dude's gonna have a long career, and it never materialized. Barry Pepper, looking at, he's he's in Saving Private Ryan, Enemy of the State, The Green Mile, Battlefield Earth. Yeah, Battlefield Earth. That was Knock Around Guys in '01. We Were Soldiers, then 25th Hour. After this, I mean, Flags of Our Fathers, okay. Uh 7 Pounds. Now, he wasn't True Grit. I mean, yeah, again, this probably was the best stretch he had, probably the best stretch he had between 98 and 2002. And after that, it's kind of been, it's kind of been slim pickings with him. I thought he was great in this movie. Like, the charismatic friend played, the player, the asshole. He had a nice mix of all those pieces of his character. He's an asshole. He was charming, uh, funny. He, but then, you get to the end of the movie, you find out that this dude is actually not a good friend. Like, this dude actually cared. That he cared about this character, about Monty, about Norton's character in the real way, to the point where, Edward Norton's character wanted him to beat the shit out of him. Like, if you're my friend, I want you to do this for me. So, well, I mean, there were a lot of things asked from these characters, in regards to Edward Norton. And these characters had to be, they were his friends, but at the same time, they're not clean. They weren't clean at all themselves from that standpoint. They had a lot of shit in, they had a lot of shit going on for them, in regards to, how could you, this guy's a drug dealer. Nobody told him to stop. You could have told him to stop. There, you during the movie having basically point fingers at each other. No, you should have told him. No, you should have told him. And again, I found Spike Lee asked a lot out of these particular characters. And again, you get this particular cast. He certainly had the cast to live up to the material and live up to the billing from that standpoint. Again, I think this was, like, critics had this. This was a very highly received movie. Um, BBC did a poll in 2006 that ranks this as the 26th best movie ever. Roger Ebert, loved this movie. Um, this movie, again, didn't do. Don't remember it being out in the theater. It didn't do major numbers at all in this theater. First time I saw it was on DVD. Bought it on DVD. Of course, it was on DVD and became a cable stalwart on HBO and DVD and what have you. But again, the biggest thing this movie will have, its claim to fame will be the first movie that depicted life post 9/11. Again, at worst, the second, I think, in my opinion, the second best Spike Lee movie of all time, 25th Hour. Certainly recommend watching it if you haven't seen it, haven't seen it at all, or haven't seen it in a long time. We're gonna wrap this up with real thoughts. Coco Golf, congratulations to Coco Golf, 21 years old, wins her second major of her career. Of course, she won the 2023 U.S. Open. So she takes out number one, Ariana Sabalenka, if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. And Sabalenka basically blamed the conditions, was reluctant to give Coco Golf any credit during the press conference. She can now she ended up backtracking somewhat like a day later or after all the internet fuss or criticism. So someone gave golf credit a couple of days later. But that's not the point. Listen, I'm here for all of it. You know why I love the thing I love this, and a lot of people were criticizing the young lady for, sore loser and what have you. No, no, no. Here's what I'll tell you. Tennis needs this shit in the worst way. Tennis needs they need competitors, top players to hate each other. You look at tennis needs it. What? Give me a great tennis rivalry right now that anybody cares about. I'll wait. There is none. What's the last rivalry that anybody in America cared about? Think about it. What, Agassi, Sampras? And don't give me Federer, Djokovic, and Nadal. I'm sorry. That those things again, three greatest players of all time. But guess what? None of them were American. America, for the most part, did not give a shit. The last great you look at the history of great rivalries over the course of tennis history. Navratilova, Everett, Connors, McEnroe, uh, Agassi, Sampras, to a lesser extent. They didn't hate each other, so it never got to that point, despite how great they were. And they were great at different parts of their career. When Sampras was great, Agassi was inconsistent. When Agassi was great, Sampras was on his way out. And again, they liked each other. Like Jimmy Connors and John McEnroe hated Ivan Lendl. He hated Lendl. That's what made it great. Borg and McEnroe were contrasting personalities along with contrasting styles. I'm not sure how much they hate each other, but I didn't get a sense that there was a love loss. Navratilova and Everett couldn't stand each other. They could not stand each other. Mutual respect, but couldn't stand each other. The greatest rivalries in tennis are when the players have been either one of them have been American, one, and the double, the double is both players just can't not stand each other. That is a great rivalry, along with obviously high quality play. This would listen. You need Coco Golf and Ariana to despise each other and to be meeting in multiple like either semifinals or Grand Slam finals. So I'm all for this. I want to see. Listen, I want to see them. I want to see them play at Wimbledon when the conditions probably won't be a factor. If you're by the way, if you're Coco Golf and you are anywhere near the competitor that I think she is, that I know she is, this is something you just hold on to and file away. Like, okay, we'll meet each other again when the conditions are to your benefit. Now, again, two things can be true. The young lady has 70 unforced errors, but I'm pretty sure that Coco Golf caused a lot of those errors, caused a number of those errors with the pressure that she was putting on her. Pretty sure about that. But again, tennis in the worst way needs a great rivalry. They haven't had one in decades, literally 20 coming up on 25 to 30 years. They haven't had a great rivalry. That's going to wrap it up in this latest edition of the Ril Dil podcast. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will see you next time. So long.